Are you sure you will need all of this? Kindachi hummed in surprise, glancing into their shopping cart at the pile of stuff they just filled it with. I mean, yeah. We have almost nothing at home right now, and I don't know when I'll get to the store next time, so we need to stock up a bit. And I can't leave you home alone without a properly filled fridge. Knowing Kunime, he would just order takeouts the whole time to avoid going into the shop, which wasn't something he wanted. Kunime watched him for a beat without moving, but then just sighed softly and nodded, looking away. Yeah, I guess you are right. Kindachi paused, confused question already resting on his tongue when he noticed the way Kunime's shoulders were slumped and the sadness hidden in the lines around his eyes. And suddenly he understood. He tossed the package with rice into the cart before wrapping his arm around Kunime's shoulders to pull him to his chest, earning a tiny surprised squeak in return. What are you doing? Are you still sad I'm going away? No? Why would I be? I'll have the whole flat for myself, nothing to worry about. Liar. I'm not. He froze mid-sentence, hiding his face into Kindachi's chest. And Kindachi added a point to his mental score before he inwardly berated himself for even thinking like that. He was aware Kunime got much clingier since his last injury, and especially after a failed robbery in their home. Sure, he had nothing to complain about, but he would much prefer if it was anything else but fear that drove Kunime into his arms. That way, neither of them would be so tense whenever he left, no matter how short the time spent apart was. But this time, he was about to leave for more than a week, and it left a sour taste in his throat. It's going to be lonely there without you, you know? Kindachi sighed softly and pulled Kunime even closer to his heart, suddenly only 1 second from calling his coach to cancel his involvement in the training camp. However, a stunt like that would definitely not be welcome, maybe even endanger his position on the team. And he was quite sure Kunime would be more upset with him if he didn't go than because he was left alone. Knowing that helped a little bit, but didn't make him feel any better. He dreaded coming home and walking on some stranger rummaging through their things again. He dreaded coming home and finding Kunime hurt or worse. Just remembering the 2 men who dared to hurt his fiancée made his blood boil. The fear he clearly remembered seeing in Kunime's eyes when he finally found him turning his stomach. If he didn't come home earlier that day. Don't even go there. Kindachi snapped out of his thoughts, blinking rapidly in surprise when he noticed Kunime's narrowed eyes. You were overthinking again, thinking all those what-ifs. I wasn't. Liar. Kindachi let out a short snort of laughter at the irony and squeezed Kunime in his arms, laying his chin on top of his head. Fine, I was. Sorry, I can't help it sometimes. I know, but it pisses me off when you are thinking like this. Enough to overcome the sadness? Almost. Kindachi chuckled and kissed the crown of Kunime's head before letting go, leaving only their hands connected. Alright, in that case, you're allowed to be angry at me for the time being if it helps you feel less sad. That's not what I meant. I know, but if it works, then why not? Kunime rolled his eyes, but Kindachi, already trained by all those years they had spent by each other's side, could see the tension slowly leaving his fiancée's face. Hopefully inconspicuously, he grabbed 2 packages of salted caramel candy from the rack and hid it in the cart before Kunime could notice. He then gently tugged on Kunime's hand, making him slow down a bit. Shopping was not necessarily the type of date he would imagine for them, but as long as they were together, he had no mind to complain about the place. Besides, everything was in those little things, details no one except for them knew about, and he wished they never had to stop. What do you say we go out for lunch today? As a little goodbye and for good luck for the camp. A soft smile lit up Kunime's face, and Kindachi could about melt into a puddle there and then. That would be nice. Can we go to the city too? They already have some Christmas lights along the streets. We could go for a walk. Kindachi's smile mirrored Kunime's as soon as the words left his mouth. He would have never imagined he would live to see the day Kunime offers to go for a walk on his own, but there was no denying that Kunime loved everything that glowed, and Christmas lights were the peak of the season for him, able to convince him to walk outside for more than 5 minutes. And Kindachi wasn't going to discourage him in any way, because the longer they spent outside in the cold, the more probable it was Kunime was going to snuggle to him for warmth the moment they came home. Maybe he would even agree to take a bath together. As if reading his mind, Kunime huffed and lightly punched his shoulder. Don't think anything dirty. I wasn't. Smiling, he brought Kunime's hand to his lips and pressed a kiss to the delicate fingers. I'm just happy you're smiling. Let's go then. We need to get these home before going out. Walking around the same exact walls for so long was slowly starting to get on Enoshita's mind. He tried not to think too much about it as he rushed through the hallway, still in his work clothes, to get into Tanaka's room as soon as possible. But the fact was, the strange ochre color of the walls was becoming his least favorite. First world problems, really. He would gladly roll his eyes at himself, though he was pretty sure Tanaka would add his tidbit too. He had to have an even bigger aversion to the hospital walls than him after spending long weeks here. Taking a few steadying breaths after basically running the whole way from his work, he knocked gently on the door to the nurse's office to announce his arrival, and then there was nothing standing between him and his boyfriend. Tanaka no less than beamed when Enoshita walked into the room. Chika, you came! Enoshita motioned for him to tone it down, but couldn't help the smile spreading over his own lips. Tanaka's ever so optimistic mindset and unbreakable personality shone through like never before, and Enoshita could only wonder where his boyfriend got so much energy to smile at everyone around. That being said, he was utmost grateful for it. Everything was better with Tanaka's smile. Sorry, I'm just happy to see you. Smiling softly, Enoshita leaned down to kiss Tanaka's cheek before sitting down next to the bed. He took hold of Tanaka's hand, only realizing how much he missed the contact after he noticed how firmly he was squeezing it. Fortunately, Tanaka didn't seem to mind and even returned the squeeze with his own strength, which was growing day by day. Are you okay? Shouldn't I be the one asking that? You are the one who's ill, not me. Yeah, but I know how much you take everything to heart. He narrowed his eyes at him. Don't tell me you ran the whole way again. Enoshita looked away, embarrassed by how easily Tanaka was able to read in him. It came with being in a relationship, he supposed, but still. So, I just wanted to be with you. The sooner I get here, the more time we have. Chika. I know you said I don't have to worry, but I'm much rather here than alone at home. A soft sigh reached his ears, followed by a very light touch of Tanaka's lips on the back of his hand. Heat rushed into his cheeks as he turned back to face his boyfriend, his heart stuttering upon seeing the softest look imaginable in Tanaka's eyes. I promise I'll do everything in my power to be back home with you as soon as possible. Not even my momentarily indisposed legs can keep me away from you for too long. Enoshita froze, his mind short-circuiting for a beat, his chest and throat tightening. He managed to only nod and give Tanaka's hand another squeeze as an answer, failing to find his voice for a moment. He was still a bit upset Tanaka would even think that he would be able to leave him after hearing the diagnosis, and he still couldn't forget the cold wall that built itself between them. But now it seemed like the weird tension between them got cleared up and their relationship only grew stronger. He just prayed Tanaka wasn't just pretending happiness for his sake. What are you thinking about? Oh, nothing, no worries. It's just... Have I told you I love you today yet? He had no reason to be embarrassed about expressing his love out loud, yet his cheeks still prickled with heat. Saying those words in a hushed whisper at home was something completely different than in public after all. Besides, being able to freely tell Tanaka he loved him without having to be afraid of a response was still rather unbelievable. A thing that was only in the realm of his dreams just several months ago was now his reality, and he couldn't help but feel overwhelmed sometimes. Before he could think too much about it and potentially cave into overthinking spiral, Tanaka's face lit up with a soft smile. You did now. I love you too, you know. The most in this world. Enoshita whined quietly, feeling like he just sat down by a fire. How can you say something like this so casually? Because everything is easy with you. It feels natural, as if it was meant to be. He became a bit more serious again, bringing Enoshita's hand to his heart. I know you are still worried about us, and that's fine. I just need you to know that me coming to your door with a confession wasn't a mistake. Because I love you, really. Enoshita bit his lip, trying to contain the quivering and the pressure building behind his eyes. It wasn't all that long since their first date. Since the first time he realized his crush of several long years might actually return his feelings. Even less time had passed since Tanaka found him completely broken by the thought of being just another rebound. And now, here he was, listening to the words he longed to hear for so long, and it made all his protective walls crumble. Tanaka chuckled quietly and patted Enoshita's hand. There, no need to cry over that. Unless those are happy tears, in which case I'll happily offer you my shoulder to cry on. Well, or like my side or the sheets, but you get the idea. Enoshita let out a short snort of laughter before wiping his eyes and laying his head on the sheets so that Tanaka could reach into his hair without moving too much. Yeah, I do. He hummed contentedly as Tanaka's fingers combed through his hair, the touch and motion sending shivers through his body. He closed his eyes in bliss, more than ready to melt there and then. Finishing the last touches to the table and their dinner, Tendo hummed contentedly, mentally patting himself on the back. It was the day of their anniversary, and if it wasn't for the fact that Ushijima had to go to practice, it would be perfect. He even took vacation to fly to Warsaw so they could spend the weekend together. But it seemed luck was not on their side. But Tendo understood some things just had priority and didn't complain, and instead turned his full focus and all his skills into preparing a nice dinner and dessert for them to enjoy. He had to admit he was cheating a bit with the challenge, but considering it was something that could make others happy too, he decided not to dwell on it too much. After all, a few more smiles never hurt, especially from the more stoic ones in the relationship. Let's just hope nothing goes wrong. But honestly, what could go wrong with a challenge like this? Just as he was about to start mentally pushing the clock forward, the unmistakable sound of a key being turned in the lock reached his ears. He barely restrained himself from jumping like a little kid in excitement and quickly shook off the apron. Welcome home, dear. It didn't take long before Ushijima's large figure appeared in the doorway. Good evening, Satori. Tendo clicked his tongue and shook his head before rushing to wrap his arms around Ushijima's neck. Always so proper, Toshi. You're home now, you know? With just your boyfriend. A tiny, barely visible smile curled Ushijima's lips as he leaned in for a kiss. I know. Sorry, force of habit. I need to keep good relations with others, and being polite is one of the ways. Don't tell me they are mean to you. I'll have a word with them if they are. No one is going to disrespect my miracle boy and get away with it. Ushijima chuckled, the deep rumbly sound resonating through Tendo's core and sending the most pleasant shivers through his body. Thank you for your care, but you don't have to worry. Everyone is really nice to me. I sure hope so. Otherwise I would really have a word with them. I might not be a pro athlete like you, but I can still defend your honor. Ushijima smiled softly. I have no doubts about that. Tendo smiled back contently. For the most part, he could tick off the challenge as successfully done. But given how much he loved seeing Ushijima smile and laugh, he might just get a few more while he was at it. He gave Ushijima's shoulders a light squeeze, already opening his mouth to tease him a bit more, when he noticed how Ushijima's face suddenly scrunched in discomfort. He immediately tried to hide it, but Tendo wasn't blind. What's wrong? It's alright. Nothing. Don't lie to me. Are you hurting somewhere? I mean, somewhere other than your shoulder. I don't... Toshi! Ushijima sighed, staying silent for a moment as if thinking about the best plan to proceed. Tendo led him, waiting. He didn't need to be a mind reader to know what was probably going on. Already used to taking care of Ushijima's shoulders, which suffered the most during the difficult practices and matches, he just wanted Ushijima to admit it out loud to make sure he also knew what was happening. My shoulders hurt again. We had several hard practices this week because of the leak, but it's nothing serious, you don't have to worry. Tendo clicked his tongue and gently punched Ushijima's chest. You big doofus, of course I need to worry. And you should too. Stepping back, he pushed Ushijima out of the kitchen and towards the couch in the living room. As much as he loved Ushijima's determination and fortitude, sometimes it was rather bothersome, especially when it came to his health. Sit down, I'll bring the ointment. Satori, you don't have to do all this. Of course I have to. I'm your boyfriend, remember? I promised I'll take care of you and I'll keep that promise too. He pushed Ushijima onto the couch and rushed to fetch the familiar tube, worried his boyfriend might try to stand up again if he took too long. But Ushijima was still where he left him, hissing quietly as he tried to relax the aching muscles. Tendo removed his hand and motioned for him to take off his t-shirt before applying the ointment on his skin. putting his long fingers to use and carefully but firmly rubbing it into the obviously sore muscles with so many times practiced technique. You should be taking better care of yourself. I hate seeing you in pain. Ushijima hummed lowly, relaxing under Tendo's experienced touch. I'm sorry. I didn't want to cause you trouble. Silly, you aren't causing me any trouble. But we were supposed to have an anniversary celebration today. I didn't want to ruin it. Tendo shook his head, for a moment stopping the massage to just lightly roam his hands over his boyfriend's skin, enjoying the feeling like nothing else in the world. You aren't ruining anything. Anniversary is a celebration of being together, isn't it? And we are together. As long as that's the case, I don't care what we do. A large, warm hand covered his, the gentle touch of Ushijima's lips on his fingers making his heart flutter. You really are amazing, you know. He looked up and over his shoulder, his lips curled up with a soft smile and his eyes glinting with fondness. Thank you, my love. Tendo could feel himself blushing wildly, but still managed to smile back before leaning for a kiss. No need to, my miracle. Now relax. I'll make sure the shoulders won't hurt you anymore, and then we can have dinner. I would love that.